Nestabilities dies are so much fun to use to create beautiful borders around focal images and greetings. But did you know that what's left over after you die cut a shape can be used to create beautiful frames as well? I like to call this technique reverse nestabilities. As you can see, both my image and my greeting are recessed inside the die cut areas. Let me show you how easy it is to create a panel like this. What I've done here is I've laid down my A plate and my B plate, and then a piece of the Red Hot Gina K Designs Pure Luxury cardstock. Then I've placed one Nestabilities scalloped circle. These are the petite scallop circles. I placed one of those blade side down up top, and then one of the double end tag dies down here at the bottom. And I'm going to cut this whole thing out at once. And the reason why I did it this way is because I want to see exactly what my layout's going to look like. And if I cut it all at the same time, I know it's exactly the way I want it. And I'm going to pop the C plate on top and run it through. Now I'm going to flip the entire thing around, and I'm going to add the tan mat on top, a second B plate, and a piece of chipboard, and this just came from the back of one of my paper packs. And I'm going to run that through, and that's going to allow me to just emboss, press a little bit of that image in around the outside, and you'll see what I mean in a second. Okay, so now I'm going to remove the two dies. And this would normally be the parts that I would keep. I would be keeping this, and I would be keeping this for my card project, which you can put those away and use them for another project. But here's what I'm going to be keeping today, and you can see it's got the embossed edge, because I embossed it around the outside of the tag area and also around the outside of the scalloped area. Now my next step is embossing, and I'm going to use a Cuttlebug embossing folder because I want a Swiss dot pattern on this frame, and I'm just going to line that up in my Cuttlebug embossing folder. Let me shift that a little bit, and lay it down on my B plate, and I'm going to put my second B plate on top and run that through. And now I've also embossed the front of that frame. And I still didn't lose that little bit of embossing. It's a little bit lighter now than it was before, but I still didn't lose it. It's still got a little bit of that embossed edge around that cutout. Now I'm going to need a yellow piece. So I'm going to place a piece of our new Wild Dandelion cardstock, and I'm going to put a circle that's a little bit smaller. As you can see, that would actually show through there. So I'm going to make that piece is a little bit smaller, and I'm going to cut this circle out using my A plate, B plate, and C plate on top. And this way I can give my frame a little bit of extra color. And again, this piece can be used for another time, so I'm just going to put that aside. And you can see how that will create a really pretty frame once I tape that together. So what I've done here is I've taped my yellow piece of cardstock onto the back of my red piece of cardstock, and then that frame just peeks through. And all this is going to be hidden because this whole piece is going to go right on top of my card base. Now the next step is to line up your images underneath. Now you could stamp them through if you wanted to, but I like to do it this way because then I can be very, very precise. Okay, what I've done here is I've taken two of the images from the new Enjoy the Sunshine Stamp TV kit. I've used the geranium flower, which always reminds me of summer, and then I used the birthday greeting that says, "May your birthday be bright and beautiful." And the way you're going to tape these down onto your card front is start by putting a little bit of tape on the back, and then You're going to place this so you can see it through the window, but you're not going to adhere it onto the red because you actually want this piece to be sticking out over it so you've got depth. But by lining it up perfectly here, and then holding it in place and lining it up perfectly on your card front, you're actually going to pop that down exactly where you want it to be on your card base. Now we're going to do that again with the geranium. So I'm going to put some tape on the back here, and I'm going to place the geranium in my circle exactly where I want it, and then lining it up again, making sure that it looks exactly the way I would want it. Let me move that up just a little bit. Okay. Now I can place that geranium, and you can see that is not at all the way you would expect it to look if you had laid it out perfectly, but that is going to give you the precise spot so that it peeks through perfectly through the frame. Now my last step here for my card front is, because I want this to be more almost like a shadow box where the front is up here and then everything else is recessed, I'm going to use some of these large pop dots, and I'm going to place them strategically in the corners there, right there, and then way down here in the corners. Okay, and I'm going to peel those little protective covers off. And this is going to make the whole front of the card pop up on top of my images. And I have to see it for a second here. Make sure it's exactly where I want it. And you can stick those down on top, and everything is peeking through exactly where you want it. And then just to decorate my little geranium here, I've used the Bow Easy with some of the 5/8 of an inch wild dandelion gingham ribbon. Isn't that ribbon gorgeous? And I'm going to use a glue dot to adhere it. Pop that onto the center of the ribbon, and pop that double looped ribbon right onto the bottom of the geranium. And that is my sunny summer birthday card. With Nestabilities dies and this technique, you can create projects with both the pieces you die cut and the pieces left behind.